Hi folks, I hope you are well. So, okay, this video is going slightly different. I was just watching the, I think, third episode of season 5 of, what on earth is this program called? Oh, The Crown, yes. No, episode 4 of it. And you've got the Queen talking to Charles about, don't divorce Diana because, you're going to be the king in the future and you've got to promise to uphold the laws of God, etc., etc. Well, then I thought, okay, of course, he waited until Diana died before marrying, whatever the name is of the woman he is now with. But it's all a lack of understanding of all of it, really. Because the reality is, Andrew had slept with women before Fergie. So therefore, Andrew was married to all those other women before he even met Fergie. So he'd already be committing adultery before he get anywhere near her. And as soon as he goes with another one, that's equal to divorce anyway. So therefore, there's just no understanding. People do not understand that the union between man and woman is when the man enters a woman. That's a union. That is spiritually a union. You are therefore as married, right? And the problem is people don't understand that. Because of course, most of the royal family were having affairs. Charles was Camilla, that's it. Charles was meeting with Camilla and having a relationship with Camilla when, basically within a few years of him marrying Diana. Because of course he wanted Camilla. He was already in a relationship with Camilla before he even met Diana. And so what he wanted was Camilla, but he was told he couldn't have her. Yeah. That's before Camilla married the man that she married first. But yes, the same would be said about, well, even Philip. Philip was going around a bit. Whether or not he was actually having sex with other women with the clubs and parties that he went to, we don't know. But it's quite likely he was. And that's the point. Generally speaking, for most people have been married many times. And they just do not understand it. And this whole point about divorce, it's from a whole different time. It really is. Again, you cannot have the situation with regards to divorce biblically. For most people, you can't hold them accountable to that. Because if it says, whoever God puts together, let no man separate, well, that means God put them together. But as I say, look, come on, understand the writing from Paul. Paul said, basically, if you can't deal with temptation, get married. Right? So that's not God doing it, is it? If a man wants to have sex with a woman and he can't resist that temptation, he should marry her. That's what Paul said, isn't it? So if you go by Paul, then it's got nothing to do with God. It's got more to do with you getting an erection when you see that person from a man's point of view, right? And from a woman's point of view, it would be a similar thing. Yes? That is, come on. Come on, folks. We have to have an understanding of all of that stuff. That no, this whole point, and as I say, I didn't really think about it before Carly Bevan. No, I didn't really think about it at all. But it's only when, I believe that God was saying that she was supposed to be my wife, that I looked into it and went, well, hold it. What is the likelihood that she went to God about the man that she believed was supposed to be her husband and waited on God for the answer and waited on God for the timing and all of that to make sure it was God's will that she would marry that person? I don't imagine in any way, shape, or form that happened. But again, people have this idea. It's like, if I pray that God will lead me, then it means God is leading me. If I pray that God will guide me, it means that God is guiding me, which means I've been guided by God. No, it doesn't. If I pray that God guides me, it doesn't mean He's guiding me. I'm not saying He's not guiding me, but it doesn't mean I'm taking blinking notice of His guidance, does it? But that's the point. People like to think that if I'm asking God to guide me, it means I'm being led by God. He is guiding me. And I'm doing what He wants because I'm being guided by God. Really? Again, this is where the stupidity comes in. Again, it's that whole level of stupid upon stupid upon stupid upon stupid upon stupid. Is yeah. You go to most people in church. How are you supposed to be led by God? How can you guarantee that you're being led by God every time you want to be led by God? You ask them that, they go, I don't know. Because they don't know. They have no bloody idea. They've never done it. They have no clue whatsoever. How do you know you're being led by God? Okay. Ask God to lead you and then sit down and wait for Him to say something. To tell you where to go, to tell you what to do. Do that, and once that's been done, sit down and wait for Him to tell you what to do next. That's being led by God, right? Do people do that? No. Do people go to God and say, okay, I'm going to do the test according to biblical. I'm going to do a big test. I'm going to pray that this doormat that I've got, I'm going to put it outside. The doormat needs to be wet in the morning, but the ground around it needs to be dry. All the ground around it. So nothing else wet, just the doormat, right? Okay, now that's happened. Right. Okay, we'll go back to God. Right. Everything else to be wet, but not the doormat next day. If that's happened, okay. I can pretty much say that God wants me to do that because, two things have happened which are blinking, have to be God. I've asked God to do it that way, and that's happened, so therefore I've tested it. Do people bother to test it? No. So again, it's that stupid idea that if you're in church, it means that automatically, God chose you to be with the person that you're with, even if you met that person and started being with that person sexually before you knew God. It doesn't matter. Even if you were joined in marriage beforehand, it does not matter, right? Now, if you've been married before and divorced and then met the person, well, your first marriage, that wasn't God, but this one is. Right? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. This is how people, yeah. This is how people in church choose to think. Is any of it true? No, none of it is true at all. Again, this whole point that whomever God has joined together, that's the big tester. That's the thing that has to be proven. When someone in church says you cannot divorce, well, first of all, you've got to prove that God joined you together. Right? I say, with the situation of Kylie Bevan and her husband, I don't care. I couldn't care less on whether God has joined them together. Could not care less. I couldn't care less whether their marriage crashes or burns or lasts until the day they die, but they're bloody unhappy or they're happy and delirious. I couldn't care less. Yes, that's it. Good luck. Yeah. The point of it is, yeah. Do I believe that either of them, her or him, waited on God and were being led by God in making sure that they were with the right person? No, I don't. And again, the evidence is here. Why would I believe that Kylie Bevan did according to God with regards to choosing a husband when she got offended by me believing that she was supposed to be my wife, she asked the pastor to ban me rather than doing according to God? She didn't do according to God then, did she? Right? So I don't think she has a good record of doing things according to God, somehow. And again, I'm using her as an example because that's one example that I have. Right? Again, I'm not trying to make it personal against her. I've got nothing personal against her in any way, shape, or form. I wish her well, but as I say, she's in no better position than anyone else in church. They're all where they are, and okay, yeah. But it's just talking about the point of view of marriage and, how you can say to people you can't divorce. Yeah, no, it's nonsense. It's nonsense because, first of all, you've got that point of having to prove that God has joined these two together. And in most cases, you won't be able to prove it. If they get to the point where both of them want to divorce, that's pretty much proof that God didn't join them together. Right? Pretty much. And as I said before, and this is truth, if God wants you to be with someone and you divorce, you're going to get back together. Right? If God wants you to be with someone, then there's a reason for it. You're going to get back together. So divorcing won't do a darn bloody thing about it. You're going to get back together because God is going to make sure that happens if it's His will that you are with that person. Right? Come on. Again, use your brains. I know that a lot of people think they can sell their brains when they die, and if it's brand new and never been used, then they can get more money. But that just isn't true, so use them. Go to God about all these things. Don't trust me. Go to God as to whether this is true or not. Right, you take care. God bless.